Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the 20s Detox. I'm Bianca, your host, where we dive into all the things that I'm learning and unlearning in my 20s to elevate this decade. Some of you might be on this bandwagon that I'm trying to get you guys all on of the spring season, setting goals, going for bold choices, really, and taking risks and just going for it. And the only thing that I said was try to just be consistent. That's all. It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be constant progress. It just needs to be consistent, because that is building self-efficacy and confidence within you to move forward with like a stronger backbone. Think about if you just like saved $5,000, then I was like, I saved $5,000, I can do $10,000. Or I was able to save up for a car, like I can save up for a house. I mean, it seems big, but it's just like working towards things and sticking to it consistently is going to help you in the long run. Way more than just like trying to be perfect. Okay. Like there was that study of like people who did pottery, and there was one group that had to focus on like creating one perfect piece of art, and the other people were just supposed to create something every single day. And what they found was actually the people that created something every single day without the purpose of like going for perfection made much better art than those who just like kept tweaking that one perfect piece. And so similarly, if you just show up for yourself every single day, that will help you in the long run versus trying to make it look perfect every time and giving up if it doesn't. The question that I'm going to focus on for this is, how do you stick to your goals even when you're not getting the results that you want? Spring is a big lesson with this. I'll just briefly talk about what we might be seeing outside. It doesn't really give longevity. It doesn't give like sustainable results. There's a lot of gray in the beginning. There's a lot of energy building. There might be a lot of sprouts, new grass, new budding on the trees. It doesn't really look that pretty yet, but there is something happening. So that's one thing to pay attention to. The second thing is sometimes there's certain vegetation that blooms really quickly and they have the most beautiful flowers, and then they die really quickly. I think about the trilliums that are just outside of my parents' home, and I go for this walk in the forest, and there's a certain time in May actually where there are trilliums everywhere, and they're beautiful and they're peak for maybe a week or two, and then all of a sudden they're gone. So that's another thing. So the first thing is there might be a lot of growth happening, but we don't really see it. And then the other one is there's a lot of growth that doesn't last very long. Those are two things that spring is teaching us about goal setting. And that's going to set the foundation moving forward with this episode. I think we all can say that dreaming about something and brainstorming about something is arguably better than actually going and even achieving it. And actually, there's science that backs it up, that you get more dopamine from the brainstorming and dreaming than you actually do when you achieve it. Because what happens naturally when we achieve something is we're like, what's next? What's the next thing I'm going to get? So dopamine in itself already does us a disservice with goal setting, because like the thing that makes us feel really good is the preparation stage. Like, you know, when you're like creating your to-do list and that feels really good, but it's like maybe you bit off more than you can chew and you didn't actually cross everything off that to-do list. Or you did cross everything off the to-do list, but it still doesn't feel as good as when you created it and like created a perfect schedule for it in the morning. Creating that trip, like you're brainstorming of a trip and you're creating an itinerary and you're looking at all these different places compared to maybe even when you're there. The brainstorming is, at least for myself, I love traveling, so I feel really present and happy, but the before stage is like just as exciting for me. Here's the issue though with what's happening for us, and that's because we have something ruining our dopamine system on a regular basis, and that's social media. Social media is destroying our dopamine system and making us want cheap dopamine often. Like you're scrolling through Instagram or YouTube shorts or TikTok, and every single time you're getting this like boost of dopamine without really needing to work for it. And it's just like constant. And so because of that, our attention span and our ability to withstand going past that brainstorming stage of the goal setting becomes even more difficult. Why I'm bringing that up is if you want to actually see your goals take root and build sustainable roots to be able to, for you to truly achieve them, you need to make sure to also at the same time reset your dopamine system. You need to make sure that you are staying tight with your doom scrolling on social media. It's super important that you're doing that. And I mentioned in winter to kind of like inspire yourself with good quality dopamine. And because of that, I have less of a desire to just be on my phone so much. But even if you didn't do that, try and do that now still. You want to have things that take a long time. You want things to slow down. Slowing down to get what you want is resetting your dopamine. It's the very fast-paced things, this constant rush state that is affecting our nervous systems a lot. And because of that, it's hard for us to stay present and focused on our goals. Also, stay resilient to when they're not always performing to the best of their ability. So I mentioned a reference within nature. Like if any of you garden and you want to grow lettuce, you sprinkle a bunch of your seeds down and a lot of them take root and they're sprouting, but not every single sprout is the one that you're going to be using to plant like in your garden to create that lettuce. It's actually going to be the strongest ones, but that doesn't mean that we didn't go for it and we didn't put all those seeds down to figure out which one was going to be the strongest one anyway. It's similar to when you're taking action towards your goals. You're going to have certain days where it is one of those strong sprouts and then other times where it's not. But it's actually not possible to know that we are going to every single day reach that perfection and that perfect sprout. Like you just have to go with also how nature is going. Go for it. It's not, it doesn't need to be perfect, but you will realize down the line which were more of like moving the needle points, like the pivotal points. And the only way to really get those experiences is to have the humility to maybe not perform your best that day. And that's all right. And also, I think to just remember there that you need to have moments when you're taking action towards your goals, when it isn't your best work, when it isn't the best thing that you can do. I had somebody reach out to me that said, you know, I've been noticing it in my work that it's not as good as I really want it to be. And then I'm seeing it from another perspective being like, well, you have some amazing pieces of work. If you had kind of mediocre pieces of work, I think it needs to happen for it to actually take root. Aside from nature, if you are into finance and you plan by the fiscal quarters and this whole idea of blending nature into it is new to you, then at least you have that foundation of the fiscal quarters. If you look at like the S&P 500, it's never like this the whole way. It goes up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, but the overall trend is increasing. That is another really good thing to think of. To not over-identify with the daily changes, but to think about the trend that is happening. That's kind of why I like to dedicate 90 days to it, because then it's giving you enough time to look at the trend on how things are going and not over-identify with something on such like a small scale. Because when you look too small, you're tunnel visioning too tightly. And it's losing that sense of perspective on the trends of life because everything is really cyclical. There's these ups and downs that happen through everything. I was even thinking about it the other day, me tunneling too much and over-identifying with like views on the podcast, right? And I needed to remember to scroll back, to zoom back and be like, but the overall trend is good things. So when you are going towards certain goals, whatever they are, it can also just be that you are in that mindset stage. And that mindset stage meaning you are building your confidence, you are building your ability to be more grounded, to be able to succeed in this goal, because you know that if you're not grounded and your emotional and mental foundation isn't there, then the sustainability of anything physical won't last. Like that foundation will just be fragile. In the beginning of Q1, when I was doing my guide, Align Your Life with the Seasons, and I was doing like the Wheel of Life, I noticed that my finance like sliver, my little pie slice was higher than it was last year. And it wasn't because I had saved up a lot of money. I actually had dropped a client at the time, so I was even making less money, but it was because I had really overcome this financial anxiety. And so I think sometimes it's good to scan back and realize, even if you hadn't received physical results, so maybe I didn't have a lot of money saved up, or like more money than I thought I would do saved up, I overcame so many important things with my mindset so that my foundation is a lot stronger to be able to save more. Because if I am fearful about money and holding it like white knuckle grip on my money and over obsessing about my bank account, like that is not the proper mindset that will achieve great results. So I also just want to say there, I think back to the early spring when the buds are just there, and there's actually so much energy that is like just breaking out now. A lot of us might think, oh, it's still not that green yet, it's not that pretty, there's not a lot happening, but there is though. And I think the mindset shift, it could be like that early stage of that goal setting. The mindset shift could be that budding when maybe it doesn't look like a lot has changed, but there is a lot that's happened with your mental ability to move forward. The thing about winter that is so powerful is when you stop going towards a goal, it is forcing you to detach your worth from achievement. The reason why we burn out a lot of the time is because we are blinded by this robotic operating built off of this association we made of our worth is how successful we can be. And that just drives us through like these like days where we grind and we work hard and we think that we're doing really well. And then like we get highs when, like it peaks, and then we get really down when it's like that little sprout and it's not going to last for that season. When you take a step back and you slow down and reconnect with the energy that's out there, you're able to see things differently. You are able to detach your worth from achievements to now see it in a different light. You're able to no longer identify with these quick bursts. You're not going to be extremely elated when it's an amazing day. And you're also not going to beat yourself up when it isn't an amazing day, because you're proud regardless both days that you just showed up. And you also realize that there's always going to be a certain trend that comes from being consistent, and that is an upward trend. You're viewing it on a much wider lens of how these goals are being set. So if you have been feeling down because you haven't been achieving your goals in a certain way, I just encourage you to think about things differently. Think about it on a wider lens. Think about the other things that you have possibly already overcome that might not be the pretty parts, that might not show that, but it's like internally shifting. And also honor the fact that with everything in life and on this earth, things are going to be cyclical and they're not going to be linear consistent. There's always going to be good days and there's always going to be bad days. And that's just how it rolls. Like that's just how it works. And it also doesn't mean that we're failing. It's just what it is. So try and unlearn the idea that seeing perfect results means that you are succeeding, because to succeed is to just be consistent, and also recognize it's a very nuanced situation. It's not going to be perfect looking. It's not meant to look like that. So I hope that this lifted your spirits, reminded you that you're doing amazing. Just showing up, it's so much better than trying to be perfect. If you did enjoy this episode, make sure to send it with a friend. Rate this podcast if it is benefiting you. It helps me out a lot and tells me that I'm doing a good job here. Some things that I have done to support the 20s Detox that you could purchase is following the Align Your Life with the Seasons guide. It's over 45 pages long of planning your year in alignment with the seasons, also fiscal quarters, so that you are working towards your goals in a sustainable way. I appreciate you all for listening. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday.